Whatever. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cheese Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Brian. On this fine Saturday afternoon here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. At least I'm in Green Bay. I'm joined by my good buddy Amar, fellow Packer fan, on the cusp of hopefully Packers' victory against the Bears tonight. Um, what are your thoughts, Amar, on the whole hoopla that the Bears are parading around that they're gonna beat the Packers and they're acting like they're the next best thing since sliced bread.
I mean, I'm a part of the I guess the majority where it's like the Bears have basically from their existence to present day have found a way to hype themselves up in the off season. And this season is one of the few times where all the off season hype has actually come true. And I gotta admit, like, yeah, like, playing them this late in the season has actually been a benefit to them because it's given them time to adjust under Ben Johnson, adjust under some differences on defense, as well as losing guys and gaining guys. And truth be told, like, I'm feeling pretty good about the game. I know that, both teams are pretty banged up right now, which is normally the MO of the NFL when you get into the end of the season. Um, I just find it always comical how 2 weeks ago, the Bears said they were going to destroy us. And then it went from that to, well, you know what? We were able to hang with the Packers and we were able to, be in one score. To it's like, just the amount of copium that occurs, right? And then now here we
Right.
are, 2 weeks later, we've lost Parsons. We were banged up on offense, we're banged up on defense, and they were banged up too. And already it's like, well, you saw what we just did to the Browns? Like you guys couldn't even do that to the Browns. So guess what? I think we're gonna destroy you guys and say, okay, fine. Let's find out what happens tonight because, you know, the Packers have fared pretty well in Chicago on night games. I mean, that's a pretty consistent thing, right? So I'm feeling pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident too. I mean, I think part of that relief comes with hopefully Christian Watson playing tonight.
Hmm.
Jaden Reed. If we can just keep Jordan Love upright, I think it'll be a good game. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
have hopefully Musgrave comes through and has some big catches for us, does some blocking. They don't let Jordan Love get murdered. If Jacobs, if he runs good. Just all around, fly to the ball, hit hard on defense. Fill the shoes of Micah Parsons. I know it seems impossible, but if you can get two or three guys to rotate in there, Lucas Van Ness, you got Brenton Cox Jr. coming off of IR. Hopefully he can make an impact, and I think it's going to be a good game. I wasn't. I mean, I was still confident, but I'm more confident leading like the closer we get to the game of the Packers actually being successful against the Bears tonight.
I'm with you on that. I think there's a lot of things that have kind of happened from the last 2 weeks of this week, obviously, right? The defensive line for the Bears is nowhere close to being what it was in Denver, right? I feel like for us, the biggest issue is going to be we already know Parsons is out. I feel like you can never make up for a guy like him. But I feel like the Packers are a pretty good defense without Parsons last year. So they need to kind of like, kind of trace back to that. My biggest concern is Evan Williams because Evan Williams has been an unsung hero on defense. He's been
Yeah.
filling running gaps. He's been absolutely just he's been a dog. Like there was talks about him when he got drafted in the fourth, and then when you talk to you talk to Justice Mosqueda, he's a dude on Oregon's team, said that we got the best player on Oregon's defense. So we've seen, but now that he has a full week of practicing without Tom, and if Tom doesn't play, I feel like as long as Kennard can get in, because he's also banged up too, right? So it's week two against Washington. We had to play on a short week against them. Zach Tom didn't play, right? Belton played at right tackle. He did a serviceable job. I'm hoping that we kind of keep the line the same and maybe just put Kennard in there, or we try to find. I do not want Jordan Morgan out there, but I agree with you. Keeping Jordan upright is the paramount thing that we need to do.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, obviously, we all know the longer you keep him upright, the more he can, see the field and find his open guys, and that's just a big if. And he can even make plays on his feet. Don't be afraid to
Right.
run. You mentioned Caleb Williams earlier. What adjustments after watching him? Kind of. He kind of like in the second half, he started to get more mobile and picking up more first downs and more yardage on the ground. What would be a good cure to limit him from getting those runs? Would you just send somebody after him and just like, who would you send after him? Coop?
Yeah, I honestly I felt like There was something that Mike Wall said on Andy Herman's Pack a Day show. Actually, no, he said this on the Sparky Pfeiffer radio show yesterday, where Quay Walker was one of the best blitzing linebackers to come out of college. He did that, excelled at that at Georgia, and then when he came in the league, he started doing that pretty well too. But he wasn't utilized that way much by Joe Barry as he has been by Halfley last year. Dog blitzes and stuff like that. So I would put Coop or I'd put Quay spying him and then flushing him out. Because the thing with Caleb is if you allow him to extend plays, he's going to find somebody open. And he's going to make a really miraculous throw. He can't make the easy, like he can make the easy throws. He just hasn't shown that he can, but he will eventually. But he's been shown that he can make those really off the cuff, off schedule throws that will just make. I mean, it reminisces. I hate to say it, but reminisces a lot of like Rodgers doing that stuff outside the pocket, right? So my adjustments would be to continually send pressure, to understand that he performs better when rolling out to his right than to his left. So make sure pressure's coming from the right, so then he has to go to his left or stay in the pocket, and really doing everything we can to contain the run game to where it forces him to have to try to beat us with the pass.
For sure. We got Wisconsin sports on
Yeah,
the go
Trey.
with Trey saying, "What's up, fellas?"
Yes,
Yeah, I'd love to
sir.
get. I'm trying to work out getting you two on a show one of these days.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah, that'd be so fun. Go on and on and on. What? How do you think we're looking at receiver? I mean, as far as against their defense, if
I
Watson's
mean,
back and Reed and they got Wicks. Wicks kind of, I don't want to say disappeared last game, but he wasn't as crucial as he has been in the past few games before the Broncos. Like, what do you think adjustments need to be made to
I
get
think
them more open?
yeah, with Dontavian Wicks, the biggest thing with him was that Detroit game was a coming out game for him. Then he got hurt. He's had either a calf or an ankle injury all year. And I feel like the Detroit
Yep.
game was the first game where he was healthy. And then after that, he, played sparingly in the Bears game and he was still banged up. And then he played in the Denver game, same thing, still banged up. That's why you kept seeing Bo Melton out there, right? As well as, Christian Watson went from being in the hospital to them literally practicing in 2 days. So for me, I think, and then of course Jaden Reed had missed a day for a personal reason. I think one of his former coaches, college or high school, passed away, so he had to attend the funeral. So I think that we have to make sure that we are getting not just touches and opportunities for Watson and Reed, but also Golden, because Golden was one of the shining stars against Denver last week. Uh, Chicago's defense is lives and dies by turnovers. I think Kyle Gordon's going to be out. Jalen Johnson was out most of the year with a groin injury. He's back now. He seems pretty healthy, but I mean, there's always that issue there. Chauncey Garner Johnson has his moments, but also he can get burned too. Um, Nashawn Wright is their ball hawk. He's live by the sword, die by the sword kind of guy where either he's going to intercept it and take it for a pick six or get an interception, or he's going to give a big play. It's one either or. There's no in between. And I think with those things being said, we have to really let Jordan cook. And Trey just said it too. If Josh Jacobs plays, I think there's a lot of like talk of it being 50-50 at this point. If Josh Jacobs plays or if Manuel Wilson Sr. is playing, utilizing them in the pass game as well as kind of dictating terms on both sides of the ball because Chicago's defense is getting Tremaine Edmonds back. That's going to be a pretty big piece in the middle of the field. So you're going to have to really take advantage of things across on the side on the perimeter. Um, I feel like you need to get Luke Musgrave and John Fitzpatrick involved more. I just feel like Chicago's offense, from a running perspective, is amazing. Passing game is slowly getting there, but they're down their two receivers, right? And on defense, it's kind of like a hodgepodge of like players. Like there's good players there, but on the same hand too, though, I feel like they're not as good yet. I think over time they're going to get good, but right now we have an opportunity to take advantage of them.
Yeah, for sure. I want to switch the subject quick to. I'm sure you follow. Do you follow Watson's dad on social media?
Yes, I do.
You do. What are
Yes.
your thoughts on what's been going on this week after the injury and people coming after him? Like, what? I guess. What are your thoughts on? I guess I'm not upset with like what he's saying and stuff because he's human. He has the right to express his opinion, and
Right.
he's sticking up for his kid as well. But a lot of people don't know he played in the NFL, so he knows some of this stuff. And people think he's stupid, but I think he's pretty smart. And I just like to grab the bucket of popcorn and sit back and watch him. Just go after these people. What are your thoughts on Watson's
Well,
dad?
we actually had Tazim on the show on Coast to Coast Packers, myself and Logan, about a year or two ago. Um, extremely intelligent man, was a first round pick for the Packers back in the 80s. Unfortunately, tore his ACL and then bounced around the league. But I mean, he was kind of like the Sean Taylor before Sean Taylor when it came to his size, speed. He was like 230 pounds, ran a 4.3. He was just a freak. Unfortunately, he got hurt, and then back then ACLs were like a career ender, right? I think when you see your son on the field get not only the ball gets dropped, right, but like not saying he dropped it, but like the ball gets picked off, and you see him hurt. I think any father seeing their kid hurt, withering in pain, and he knows who Scoot is. Like Scoot's a pretty tough dude. Yeah, he's had some unfortunate injuries, but he's a pretty tough guy. And to see him like that, and then on top of that too, people then coming out of the woodwork. You got a lot of people confirming priors. Oh, Watson's not a WR1. He's injury prone. He can't catch. He's this. So when that happens and you're starting to get flooded with that, yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be very like I'm gonna probably see red. I'm gonna be very unhinged in my commentary, right? Again, Tazim knows his stuff. He's played the game. If you sit down and actually do like listen to his show with his son, or if you like listen to the show that we had with him, I mean, we're supposed to only have him for 45 minutes. He went an hour and a half, and
Yeah.
it's because his love for the game and his knowledge of the game, right? And so yeah, like when he said the ball is underthrown, people can get all beat up about that, but the fact is it was underthrown, and Jordan had a guy in his face. He literally got stuck in the chest as he threw the ball, right? And maybe like a quarter before that, he actually threw the ball overthrew Watson when he was double covered, right? You take that play, you take that every single time, single cover with Surtain or not, you take that shot, right? If he was able to step into that throw, I think he throws a touchdown. Personally, I did, and I'm perfectly fine with Tazine. Again, these people that are making all these comments, all these people that are kind of attacking him, some have legitimate reason because he did pop off on some people pretty hard. Um, but again, a lot of these guys, A, may not have any kids, B, may never play in NFL, C, maybe never had a child in a sporting event, see them get hurt, and then have to then defend that kid immediately, right? And it's one of those things where no matter what Watson does, it's like love. Like no matter how well they play, you have guys out there they're just waiting for them to fail so they can confirm priors, and you
Yeah.
continually see that. So if I'm Watson's dad, I'm sorry, like I'm not in his shoes. I try to live. I try to be empathetic, and also understand that like unless you've lived in that person's shoes and you know what they're going through mentally when it comes to seeing something like that, you don't. I don't think people really know how any of them would react. Like I'm sorry, like if my daughter was playing a sport and she was withering in pain on the ground, and I got people coming to me telling me like, oh. Like what is she doing? She can't stay healthy. I'd probably be knocking people out. Honestly, I'm like,
Yeah.
who are you? Like, don't
Right.
talk about my kid like that. I was like, I'm sorry. Like, so again, to each their own. I do feel like some of the stuff he did say was, like I, I don't, honestly, I won't say I wouldn't say because I don't know what I would say if I was in his shoes. But I think
Right.
Tazim's a good dude. I've always supported him. He's always supported us. Um, and he is a Packer fan. I mean, he was literally drafted by the Packers. So I
Right.
think like people need to give him the benefit of the doubt, primarily because the fact that like unless you have a kid, unless you've seen your kid wither in pain, unless you've seen your kid not only just wither in pain on the field, but this isn't the first time this happened. I mean, last year his son tore his ACL, and he had to witness that, right? Watching his son go from that and then go to the hospital, right? Like, I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, I don't know.
And on top of that, being so far away and feeling helpless.
That's it. Like you're not on the
You know what I
field. You're
mean?
not. You might be in the stands, maybe, but my thing is, at the end of the day, like just people just need to like. I think the civility and people being empathetic to others when it comes to certain situations, we've lost that, and I think that yeah, people are gonna. I'm sorry, like don't talk to me if a Packers like after the Packers game and they lose after Parsons got hurt. I'm sorry if someone like people were coming at me left and right. I was literally leaving chats. Like I was literally leaving chats. I was like trying to almost start blocking people. And these are friends. These are people that I know personally that I didn't want to. And they're
Yeah.
telling me they're like, "Oh, Parsons is done." And I'm thinking like, "Dog, like you don't think I'm watching a freaking game? Like you don't think I know this? Like why are you giving me this information? Like get out of here, right?" So again, and that's me. I only look at Parsons as like one of the as a player on my team. He's not a blood relation to me, right? So
Right.
again, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna hold anything against him because again, I don't know how I would act if I was in his shoes.
Right. You spoke on Parsons getting hurt. What do you think the timeline has him back at the start of the next season?
Because I
Because
think that
because they
yeah,
said that he had a clean tear, right?
yep.
Versus what, a mango tear would need more repair. I don't know, like, what's the difference? I mean,
Okay,
you
so
know,
yeah, so I'm not a doctor, and I could probably talk to some of my family members that are doctors that can like know this better than I do. But what I've understood is like normally when it's a clean tear, it's just ACL, right? But if you looked at Pat Mahomes, he had an ACL and an LCL, right? And then I think with Bakhtari, he I might be misquoting here, so if David's listening, I apologize. He had an ACL, he had an MCL, and I think a meniscus. So
yeah,
because that knee, because there's so much ligaments, there's so much cartilage, there's so much stuff going on in there. Like if you have a clean tear, it's probably the best thing ever because then like it's just one thing to worry about, right? And then you repair that and you get it moving, you know. And again, where ACL surgeries and recovery has gone from like 5 years ago to now, it's night and day, right? Like I mean, Adrian Peterson, people were like he came back in 5.5 months and he was a freak, okay, and
yeah,
he led the league in rushing that following year. Christian Watson tore his ACL on what in mid-January and he was
yep,
already running in summer. He was already cutting by training camp, and they just give him an additional 4 weeks at PUP. I kind of I mean I look at Parsons and I look at Watson, relatively the same age, relatively high trigger, high like high trigger type of athletes that are gonna have like I feel like they'd have a similar recovery. And again, I mean, Parsons is young. This is probably his first real serious injury, and the science has gone so far from where it was to where it is now. Like, yeah, I could see him coming back for September. Now, does the Packers let him start? Like, that's a whole nother story because they're very conservative. They were until McKenzie now is retired, and the new guy that's in there, I feel like is a little more lax. Um, I definitely could see. I I'm the clown that thinks Micah's gonna be back for the Super Bowl, but that's how crazy I am. Okay, so like so again, like Philip Rivers, even though he wasn't he's not he's a quarterback. He played on a torn ACL in an AFC Championship game because he didn't want to
yep,
miss out on this opportunity, right? Braces. Can I see Parsons doing something crazy like that? Absolutely. Will he do it? Probably not. So that makes me think that Halfley's here for another year. Because truth be
yeah,
told, if you look at all the vacancies that are going to be out next year, I don't think any of them are very attractive, right? Like I wouldn't, even though the Giants is his hometown, like the way that the fact that Schoen is still there, I wouldn't take that chance. If the Raiders get opened up, probably not. And then I think I don't know if there's anybody else. I mean, the other ones are pretty safe. Um, yeah, I mean, I would think he would want to wait for the right opportunity before he decides to like branch out. And also, me and Trig were talking about this yesterday, or actually earlier today, where Halfley left the college, left BC because he didn't want to deal with NIL. He didn't want to deal with head coaching. He didn't want to deal with like players coming and going and leaving. He wanted to focus strictly on defense and just coaching, right? When you become a head coach, you are really far away from doing that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And you're focused on so many different things, other not just coaching, but also the pulse of the team, travel, all kinds of crazy stuff, right? I feel like Halfley, if he's true to his word, I don't even know. He may take some interviews, but I don't know if he'll take a head coaching job anytime soon.
Yeah, why not have one more solid year to put on your resume to maybe make that money worth it to go up? You know what I mean? If you
Exactly.
do a
Absolutely.
contract after this year, after next year, then you're worth more money. Especially if you're coming back and you're saying that Parsons is going to break the sack record and all this, and you have a young defense, and it only makes your value go up.
Sorry. All right. Sorry, I lost you there for a second. My bad.
No worries. Where you at, Costco?
Yeah, I'm at Costco. I was like, I'm trying to get some shopping done for the wife, and then I was like, I don't want to miss out on an opportunity to talk to my boy Brian, so I had to jump in here.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
No,
literally
like I was
sitting on the
saying.
couch. I'm sitting on a couch that they're selling, so hopefully they don't yell at me too much here.
Yeah, no, but like I was saying, he maybe after next year maybe does go elsewhere, but maybe next year is his chance to make his stock go up as the coach, and they can offer him more money, and maybe a spot would open up that he would want to go to versus he sees the bottom teams of the league this year. He's like, I don't want nothing to do with those teams. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's a lot. There's a lot that's probably going through his head.
absolutely. And think about it too. Like when you hear Halfley talk, when Halfley gets on a podium and speaks, he is the most charismatic and he reminds me of Tim Tebow after he lost that game against I think Ole Miss or something, and he just like he speaks in a way that motivates. He speaks in a way that makes you want to listen, and then you're engulfed by everything he says, right? And for me, like he's a leader of men. He's a true leader of men, and I feel like this is a great opportunity for him to show the NFL, hey, I just lost my number one defensive tackle. I just lost my number one pass rusher, and if he's able to keep this defense afloat, if not perform well to the points where we get farther in the playoffs, if we get past the division, we get to NFC Championship game, or fingers crossed, the Super Bowl. I mean, he may have the pick of the litter at that point, you know,
Yeah.
because a good coach is able to find a way to adapt to adversity, right? Like no matter, like you lose, it don't matter who you lose. LaFleur proved this last year when Jordan got hurt and he had Malik Willis in there. We didn't skip a beat, right? And Halfley has a great opportunity to show that as well too.
What you mentioned, coaches have a great way, or good coaches have a good way to deal with adversity. What the hell happened to the play calling after Watson went down?
You know what? I don't even know if it was the. Yeah, I have to admit, I
I
was
was
so
I was
nonplugged.
taken away by that. I'm
I don't
like,
know how far after that, like Tom got hurt. Because I feel like when Tom goes down, like the offense just completely changes, right?
yeah,
And I just feel like there's something about Zach Tom that it gives like Jordan like a security blanket, and on top of that too, it just gives maybe Coach LaFleur a little more confidence in the way he calls plays. But I'm with you. Like I think with Watson, he is the he is the alpha as well as the game changer, playmaker on our team. That what, like I feel like Jaden Reed, I feel like Golden can do those things too. But we've seen how much his offense has taken off since he's been back, right? But it goes back to what Trake said. Trake said earlier today about involving Josh Jacobs in the passing game. The fact that he's only caught 2 touchdowns in his whole
yeah,
career is mind-boggling to me. Primarily because the fact that this guy he is an uberly talented player. He has amazing. He's everything. He's everything you want in a running back, right? And
yeah,
he's literally his knees probably as big as my head right now, and he's still trying to run on it. You know what I'm
yep,
saying? And end of the day, like I don't know what happens with that. I honestly I think the Packers were shell shocked. Honestly, like they lost Watson, and it wasn't the fact they lost Watson, but I think the way they lost him, and then they weren't sure what the hell was wrong with him. I think that's what scared them, and that's where I think LaFleur needs to find. He's pretty good at adjusting on the fly. I just didn't see it at that moment, because they were up 2 scores. They were up two
yeah,
scores, and like it's just like they lost their way really fast. And that's the thing that I think LaFleur needs to improve on as a head coach. It's like, hey, bro, like if, when adversity hits, he has a good way of kind of managing that. Just need to do a better job of it when it comes to that. Because, yeah, you lose Watson. Let's say Watson is going to be a decoy today or he plays sparingly. Okay, Golden, Reed, Dobbs, they all need to step up. They all need to make their money, right? And then, of course,
yep.
if it's Wilson or Jacobs or Brooks or whoever's there, if you're running all three of them, I think it's that 111th stuff that kind of what they need to kind of focus on. And again, LaFleur needs to do his 111th and make sure that he keeps coaching the team that he has.
Yeah, it was funny you brought up that thing about the receiving touchdowns for Josh Jacobs, and when I knew that stat too, going obviously I knew last year was his first receiving touchdown in the NFL. I told my kids that, and they're like, "Are you kidding me, Dad?" I'm like, "No, it's like they use him like a dog turd in Vegas.
Yeah.
It's they didn't appreciate what they had when they had him. Now they probably wish they would have kept him or found a
Come
way to
on.
retain him.
Come on. I'm sorry. If they had a choice, I guarantee you right now, if they had a choice between Ashton Genty or Jacobs, they're taking Jacobs 10 out of 10
That's what I'm
because,
saying.
hey, go back. He had a Wisconsin Badgers sweatshirt on.
Oh yeah,
So yeah. But yeah, no. Like again, when you have a not a workhorse, but you just have a 3 down back like you just have to take full advantage of it. You just can't, and that's heard like his interviews. That's another thing too, where they're interviewing him. He goes, "Yeah, me and Lafleur and the coaching staff are clashing left and right because I want to play, and they're like they want to be careful with me." But he goes, "I know my body," and he says, "I'd rather be out there playing than on the sidelines watching the game." Right.
yep,
So again, it'll be interesting to see around, was about like 7:30 or 7 o'clock today, or sorry, 6 o'clock your time, 7 o'clock my time, what the inactives are. And if he's inactive, I had the utmost confidence in Wilson.
yeah. And, that's the thing too. Like he has that heart of a pit bull. Because I know I was watching some of that Miami against who the hell they played today? Miami Hurricanes. Anyway, the
Yeah,
college football playoff game, and there was a play where this linebacker went across the middle, and he got hit, and he rolled over to his back, and his arms are straight up in that posture where like
yeah.
he got concussion,
Oh, yeah, he got
and
fencing. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I
and I
saw that.
told my wife, I go, those teams in the South, man, they
Lay the
they
wood.
they can hit, they can lay the wood, man. There's no way I would ever survive a hit from any of those guys. But yeah,
Yeah,
and
they'll
that's
be.
that's the kind of mentality that Jacobs he wants to hit you before you hit him. You know what I
He
mean? And
showed
he
that in
wants
the
to
game
punish
last
you.
year. Yeah, he
Yeah.
showed that in the game. Yeah. Nope.
What's that? You say the supposed to be game of the day turning terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just I hope the Bears lose to the Packers. Obviously, bad enough to where they're strongly consider moving to Northwest Indiana. That would be awesome. Do you know how funny that would be? Could you imagine? Okay, Gary, I'm sure you've seen those pictures online of like Soldier Field in Gary, Indiana, with nothing but like rubble around it and all that stuff. And you know that I just think. What are your thoughts on the Bears? I know obviously we're not a fan of the Bears, but like the possibility of moving out of state.
I think would be absolutely hilarious. I think if that truly happens, um, it again just shows you the true dysfunction of that organization. Everything from McCaskey all the way down to Caleb. I think like everything about that team and the organization is dysfunction as hell, and I would love it. I would love to see it. I would love to see them have to leave the state because Kevin Warren has absolutely no idea what he's doing, and he keeps selling a false bill of goods to not just his board of directors but also to his fans. And how you as a Chicago Bears fan will have to then answer when your team is in another state. I mean, I just don't get it. Like again, you'll be a fan, you'll remain a fan, but it just makes you look stupid. And
Will they?
like
Will they stay fans?
I mean, they probably will, but again, though, it's like, like if they've tough to it all this time, why would they change, right? It's like being a Browns or a Raiders fan. Like if you're a diehard, you stay with it through and through, right? But on the flip side, too,
Right.
like it's embarrassing as I don't know what. And it's like that's the thing as Packers fans, we've never had to worry about. 1265 Lombardi has stayed 1265 Lombardi, and then minus it moving from Milwaukee, that's it's never going to leave Green Bay. No matter all the drama that's going on between us and the city and all that kind of stuff, Green Bay is not going. Green Bay Packers are never leaving Green Bay. They're never leaving Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I mean, I was reading an article where it was saying that George Hallis was a main one of the big reasons why the Packers stayed in Green Bay. Like
Yeah.
he is like no, he's like football belongs in Green Bay, and it's and all of a sudden how many years later the Bears are threatening to move out of Chicago.
Yeah, look, I'm telling you right now, like it's one of those things where it's like, I'm sure if the Packers could repay the gift, they would, but I'm pretty sure Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles don't want any of our help. Yeah, that's one thing. That's why I say like I may not stand Bears fans. I may not stand them, but at the end of the day, like we don't exist without them, and kind of they don't exist without us to a degree. And we will always have that. That's why like our rivalry is what it is. That's why like I don't really think about Detroit. I don't really think about Minnesota. And I always will have respect for Chicago as a city. I'll have respect for Chicago Bears as a team to a certain degree. But I can still troll and hate on their organization because it is dysfunctional, right? Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, again, I think it's absolutely hilarious that they might leave. And if that happens, I just think that adds to us as Packer fans to give them more things to make fun of them about.
absolutely. And you mentioned. I mean, I always throw this in their face. I'm sure they're well aware of it. But since Brett Favre, we're 52-16 against the Bears.
Yep, that's it.
That's
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not
that's
been a rivalry for
embarrassing.
a very, 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 very long time.
Yeah, that's one win every 4 games. We play the Packers almost. Not quite, but you know what I'm saying.
I
It's
know what you're
just
saying.
they've had their amount of good players. Urlacher, Lance Briggs. I mean, they had Devin Hester. I mean, they had some pretty loaded teams back then, but they just couldn't seem to figure it out. They always seemed to hire coaches that made ultimate bad decisions, and um, yeah. Which QB do you think is under more pressure tonight, Jordan Love or Caleb Williams?
Caleb Williams.
Yeah,
I
you
think
think
Caleb
so?
Williams and the Chicago Bears are under more pressure than we'll ever be. We just beat them last week, 2 weeks ago. Honestly, if they beat us last week, then we would be under pressure. But the fact is that they we beat them, and then now they have an opportunity to beat us while we're down Parsons, while we're down all these players. We're injured just like they are, but we have injuries at more clear positions than they do, right?
Yep.
And the pressure is going to be on them because they've had this hype train now for a while, and I feel like you know Jordan has already done it. Jordan's kind of shown that he's a top 10 quarterback in his league already. That's already been proven. Caleb hasn't proven that. I mean, when you watch these games, they're literally taking the ball out of his hands. Yeah, he might make a miraculous throw here and there, but at the end of the day, they're not putting the ball in his hands and having him go win games. No, they're
Yeah.
literally running the ball at 150 yards per average per clip per game. I mean, that's crazy. They're one of the best
Yeah.
rushing teams in the league. And again, I agree with that. Like, you if you run the ball as well as you guys are, then you keep doing it. But the flip side is like, all right, but like you have a first pick over there, and he has one of the lowest completion percentages in the league. That's not by happenstance, right? And end of the day, like I feel like you really have to get to a point where you're like, all right, like when are you going to take the training wheels off? And they may take them off this game. They may not. They may wait another year. Who knows, right? But all I know is that I think the pressure definitely is on Chicago.
Yeah, I think it is too. Even in their home stadium, I think it's going to be. I don't know. Without having Burden, without having a Dunze, I think that's huge for the Packers defense. You know,
Absolutely,
Nixon
Brian.
went.
Look,
Go ahead.
check your private messages real quick. I might have to jump.
All right, man.
Yeah,
Hey, well, I
I didn't want to disconnect on you because I'm like at 4%. But I'm so sorry, man. I was trying
hey,
to have an hour
no
long show
worries.
with you, brother.
Hey, no, that's fine. I'll get you back on in the near future. But yeah, I just want to thank you for being on, and it's you know 4 hours before the Packer game, and hopefully the Packers come out victorious. Where can people find you at social media?
Oh man, just find me at AMAR3455 on Twitter. Basically anywhere else, like on social media. Coast to Coast Packers. Also do the show with Trey, Wisco on the Sports to Go with Trey, ESPN. I gotta. Oh, he should type in the chat right now so we can get the actual the actual Milwaukee ESPN channel that's on. But I do a show with him every Wednesday and every Saturday as well too. So come check us out on there. And Brian, I would love to go longer, man. I don't want to get disconnected on you. That's all.
Hey, no worries, man. I'll have you back on in the future, and we can hopefully discuss the Packers' victory against the Bears.
Absolutely. Now that we got Coast to Coast coming back here, I need to have you on. So let me know your schedule here in the next couple of weeks. Let's get you on.
We'll do. When do you guys do shows?
We normally try to do them Thursday nights, is what we're trying to do, but honestly, it's open. So whatever your schedule is, we'll make you fit.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Take
All right,
care.
bro. Thank you,
Happy
man. Thanks for having
holidays.
me, man. I appreciate you. All right, bro.
Yep.
Love you, man. Bye.
See ya.